Welcome to Health 2660. Here we don't just talk about health, we tell the stories that heal. Now please listen to the story. It started with a persistent hum, a low thrumming vibration deep in my bones that I initially dismissed as stress. I was, after all, juggling a demanding career, a young family, and the ever-present anxieties of modern life. But the hum wouldn't fade. It intensified, morphing into a bone-deep fatigue that clung to me like a second skin. Getting out of bed became a monumental task, each movement an exercise in willpower. My joints ached, my skin flared with unexplained rashes, and my digestive system rebelled with alarming regularity. I was, to put it mildly, a mess. And the worst part, I thought I was doing everything right. For years, I had meticulously crafted what I believed to be the perfect healthy diet. Red meat was the enemy banished to the darkest recesses of my culinary memory. Instead, my plate was perpetually adorned with lean chicken breasts, flaky white fish, and an abundance of vibrant vegetables. I religiously avoided saturated fats, opting for supposedly heart-healthy alternatives. I scrutinized nutrition labels, meticulously tracking my calorie intake and macronutrient ratios. I was the epitome of health-conscious consumerism, a walking, talking advertisement for the modern wellness industry. So when my doctor called with the results of my latest blood work, I wasn't expecting a crisis. I anticipated a pat on the back, a confirmation of my virtuous dietary choices. Instead, I was met with a concerned tone and a laundry list of alarming anomalies. My inflammatory markers were through the roof, my cholesterol was a disaster, and my liver enzymes were hinting at something deeply concerning. The doctor, bless her heart, suggested a battery of further tests and a referral to a specialist. But even she admitted, with a furrowed brow and a hesitant shrug, that my symptoms didn't quite align with my supposedly healthy lifestyle. That's when the real journey began. A descent into the rabbit hole of nutritional science, a quest for answers that led me far beyond the simplistic pronouncements of mainstream health advice. I started devouring research papers, poring over studies, and consulting with alternative practitioners. I became a self-taught expert in the intricate biochemistry of the human body, determined to unravel the mystery of my failing health. The first revelation came with a jolt of unexpected irony. The chicken, my supposedly virtuous dietary staple, was a major part of the problem. Not chicken in its abstract, idealized form, but the industrially raised, factory-farmed chicken that dominates the modern food supply. The kind of chicken I had been diligently consuming for years, believing it to be a superior alternative to red meat. I discovered that these chickens crammed into overcrowded sheds and fed a diet of genetically modified corn and soy are a far cry from the free-range foraging fowl of my romanticized imagination. Their bodies are riddled with inflammation, their immune systems compromised by constant exposure to disease. To keep them alive and growing in these appalling conditions, they are routinely dosed with antibiotics, which contribute to the growing crisis of antibiotic resistance and wreak havoc on the human gut microbiome. But the real kicker was the fat. Factory-farmed chicken is disproportionately high in omega-6 fatty acids, particularly linoleic acid. While omega-6s are essential for human health in moderation, the modern Western diet, saturated as it is with processed foods and vegetable oils, provides an overabundance of these fats. This imbalance of omega-6s to omega-3s, which are found in fatty fish and grass-fed meats, fuels chronic inflammation throughout the body, contributing to a wide range of health problems, from heart disease to autoimmune disorders, to the very symptoms I was experiencing. I felt a wave of betrayal wash over me. I had been diligently avoiding saturated fat, believing it to be the enemy of heart health, while unknowingly inundating my body with inflammatory omega 6s from my supposedly healthy chicken. It was a cruel twist of fate, a testament to the power of misleading marketing and outdated nutritional dogma. My investigation didn't stop there. I delved into the murky world of meat processing, uncovering a disturbing array of chemicals and additives used to enhance flavor, extend shelf life, and mask the unsavory realities of factory farming. Artificial flavorings, preservatives, and dyes were all routinely added to chicken products, further contributing to the toxic burden on my body. And then there was the question of cholesterol. For decades, we have been told that saturated fat raises cholesterol levels, leading to heart disease. But the science on this topic is far more nuanced than the simplistic pronouncements of the anti-fat lobby. I discovered that dietary cholesterol has a relatively small impact on blood cholesterol levels for most people. The body tightly regulates cholesterol production, and for many, eating cholesterol-rich foods simply prompts the liver to produce less. Furthermore, not all cholesterol is created equal. There is LDL cholesterol, often referred to as bad cholesterol, and HDL cholesterol, the good kind. But even within LDL cholesterol, there are different subtypes, some of which are more harmful than others. Small dense LDL particles are more likely to become oxidized and contribute to the formation of plaque in the arteries, while large buoyant LDL particles are less of a concern. And guess what? Saturated fat tends to increase the levels of large buoyant LDL particles, while processed carbohydrates and sugars tend to increase the levels of small, dense LDL particles. So by avoiding saturated fat and loading up on processed carbohydrates, I had inadvertently been making my cholesterol profile even worse. The story of TMAO, or trimethylamine N-oxide, was another piece of the puzzle. TMAO is a compound produced by gut bacteria after consuming certain foods, particularly red meat and seafood. Some studies have linked high levels of TMAO to an increased risk of a heart disease, leading many to demonize red meat as a dangerous food. But the reality is far more complex. TMAO is not inherently harmful. In fact, it plays a vital role in regulating cholesterol metabolism and protecting against oxidative stress. The problem arises when the gut microbiome is imbalanced, leading to an overproduction of TMAO and an accumulation of harmful metabolites. And guess what? Disrupts the gut microbiome antibiotics, processed foods, and a diet high in omega-6 fatty acids, all hallmarks of the modern Western diet and the factory farm chicken I had been diligently consuming. So it wasn't the red meat itself that was the problem, but the context in which it was being consumed. A balanced diet rich in fiber, prebiotics, and probiotics supports a healthy gut microbiome and prevents the overproduction of TMAO. And grass-fed beef raised on pasture and free from antibiotics is a far cry from the grain-fed factory farm beef that has been implicated in some of the negative TMAO studies. Armed with this newfound knowledge, I embarked on a radical dietary transformation. I banished factory farm chicken from my kitchen, replacing it with pasture-raised poultry from local farms. I reintroduced red meat into my diet, opting for grass-fed beef and lamb whenever possible. I increased my intake of omega-3 fatty acids, consuming fatty fish like salmon and sardines several times a week. I loaded up on colorful vegetables and fruits rich in antioxidants and phytonutrients. And I diligently cultivated a healthy gut microbiome, consuming fermented foods like sauerkraut, and kimchi, and supplementing with probiotics. The results were nothing short of miraculous. Within weeks, the persistent hum in my bones began to fade. The fatigue lifted, the joint pain subsided, and my skin cleared up. My digestive system calmed down, and my energy levels soared. My blood work normalized, my inflammatory markers plummeted, and my cholesterol profile improved dramatically. I felt like a new person, reborn from the ashes of my former self. This experience taught me a valuable lesson, that health is not about blindly following the latest dietary trends or demonizing entire food groups. It's about understanding the science, listening to your body, and making informed choices based on your individual needs and circumstances. It's about recognizing that not all foods are created equal, and that the way food is raised and processed has a profound impact on its nutritional value and its effect on our health. It also taught me the importance of questioning authority and challenging conventional wisdom. The mainstream health advice that I had been diligently following for years had led me astray, contributing to my declining health. It was only by venturing outside the confines of conventional thinking and delving into the scientific literature that I was able to uncover the truth and reclaim my well-being. So the next time you reach for that supposedly healthy chicken breast, take a moment to consider its origins. Ask yourself, where did this chicken come from? How was it raised? What was it fed? What chemicals and additives were used in its processing? And most importantly, listen to your body. If you're experiencing chronic fatigue, inflammation, or other unexplained symptoms, it may be time to reevaluate your diet and challenge the conventional wisdom that has been shaping your food choices. The journey wasn't easy. There were moments of doubt, frustration, and even despair. But the payoff was immeasurable. I not only regained my health, but also gained a deeper understanding of my body and the intricate relationship between food and well-being. And that, I believe, is a lesson worth sharing with the world. My journey continued. As I felt better, I became more and more interested in the impact of factory farming on the environment. I learned about the devastating effects of concentrated animal feeding operations, CAFOs, on water quality, air pollution, and greenhouse gas emissions. The sheer scale of these operations is staggering, producing vast quantities of manure that pollute waterways, contaminate soil, and release harmful gases into the atmosphere. I discovered that the corn and soy used to feed factory-farmed animals are often grown using unsustainable agricultural practices, relying heavily on pesticides, herbicides, and synthetic fertilizers. These chemicals not only harm the environment, but also pose a risk to human health, contaminating our food supply and contributing to the rise of chronic diseases. The more I learned, the more I realized that the health of our bodies is inextricably linked to the health of our planet. We cannot continue to degrade the environment without also jeopardizing our own well-being. Sustainable agriculture is not just an environmental issue, it's a public health issue. And supporting farmers who are committed to regenerative practices is one of the most important things we can do to protect our health and the health of future generations. I also started to explore the ethical dimensions of factory farming. The conditions in which these animals are raised are often appalling, with chickens, pigs, and cows crammed into overcrowded cages or pens denied access to the outdoors and subjected to routine mutilations. The animals are treated as commodities rather than sentient beings, and their suffering is largely ignored by the industry. I came to the conclusion that we have a moral obligation to treat animals with respect and compassion. We should not support farming practices that inflict unnecessary pain and suffering, and we should be willing to pay a little more for meat and poultry that are raised humanely and sustainably. My transformation extended beyond my diet. I became an advocate for sustainable agriculture, supporting local farmers, educating others about the dangers of factory farming, and promoting policies that support humane and environmentally responsible food production. I realized that I could use my voice to make a difference to help improve how we grow and choose food. I joined a local food policy council, working with other advocates to promote policies that support sustainable agriculture, improve access to healthy food, and protect the environment. We worked to pass ordinances that restricted the use of pesticides, promoted farmers' markets, and supported local food businesses. The work was challenging and often frustrating, but we made progress. We were able to pass several important policies that helped to create a more sustainable and equitable food system in our community. My journey from a health-conscious consumer to a food policy advocate has been a long and winding one, but it has been incredibly rewarding. I have learned so much about the food system, the environment, and the political process, and I have had the opportunity to make a real difference in the world. I believe that everyone has the power to create a better food system. By making informed choices about the food we eat, supporting sustainable farmers, and advocating for policy changes, we can create a healthier, more sustainable, and more just world for all. My experience with the industrial chicken industry made me scrutinize everything I consumed. I learned to read labels with a new level of skepticism, looking beyond the marketing claims to understand the actual ingredients and the sourcing of those ingredients. I discovered the prevalence of hidden sugars, unhealthy fats, and artificial additives in processed foods. I also learned about the importance of supporting local farmers and businesses. By buying directly from farmers markets and local food stores, I could ensure that I was getting fresh, healthy, and sustainably produced food. I also felt good about supporting my local community and helping to create a more resilient food system. I started experimenting with cooking at home, learning to prepare simple, nutritious meals using whole, unprocessed ingredients. I discovered the joy of cooking and the satisfaction of knowing exactly what was going into my body. My journey to a healthier lifestyle has been a continuous process of learning, experimenting, and adapting. I have made mistakes along the way, but I have always tried to learn from them and to keep moving forward. And I am grateful for the opportunity to share my story with others and to inspire them to take control of their health and to create a better world. Beyond the immediate improvements in my physical health, I also noticed a significant shift in my mental and emotional well-being. The constant fatigue and inflammation had been taking a toll on my mood and cognitive function. As my body healed, my mind cleared and my spirits lifted. I found myself feeling more energetic, more focused, and more optimistic. I was able to handle stress more effectively, and I felt a greater sense of inner peace and contentment. My journey to a healthier lifestyle has been about more than just physical health. It has been about cultivating a holistic sense of well-being, encompassing my mind, body, and spirit. And it has been about living in harmony with nature and contributing to a more sustainable and just world. And remember, it all started with chicken. Of course, not all chicken is the enemy. When raised humanely, pasture-raised, antibiotic-free, and fed a natural diet, chicken can still be a valuable source of lean protein. The key issue is not the type of meat, but how it's produced and processed. While not everyone can afford organic or grass-fed products all the time, small steps, like buying local reducing processed meats or growing herbs at home, can still make a big difference. It's about doing what you can with the resources available to you. I also began incorporating more high-quality plant-based proteins into my meals: lentils, fermented soy walnuts, and chia seeds, not to replace meat entirely, but to diversify and balance my intake. These foods are rich in fiber, phytonutrients, and anti-inflammatory compounds that support gut health and reduce chronic disease risk. Health 2660 thanks you for listening. We'll see you in the next video, and until then, be kind to yourself.